Hi, I'm Carl Weisecker, Principal Broker at Kline Realty. Thanks for joining me for another Q&A with Kline. And stay tuned, later in this episode, we'll have a special guest. So our topic today is a continuation of the new rules of real estate. Last time we talked about what changes a seller might notice. Today we're going to talk about what changes a buyer might notice. And the biggest change is a buyer will now be required to sign a written agreement with their agent before they see a property if that agent is acting for them. And what I mean by that is if you go to an open house where there's an agent there representing the seller, you don't have to sign a buyer's agreement to walk in. Similarly, if you call an agent or a firm and ask to see one of their own listings, in that case, they don't know you at all, they're representing the seller, and they're going to show you the house from the perspective of representing the seller. However, if you want to see a property that's listed by a different firm, or if you get past that initial showing and you get into more substantive discussions with the agent, then you'll be required to sign that agreement as well. And all that agreement does is reduces your relationship to writing. So everybody knows who's paying whom, what the agent's jobs and duties are, and that type of thing. This is a nationwide requirement now, and Virginia is one of the few states which has been using buyer's agreements for the past several years. Virginia was actually the very first state to make buyer's agreements mandatory, and that happened in 2012. The rule in Virginia is a little bit different though. What we've been operating under to this point is once a buyer and an agent begin to have substantive discussions, once that client is asking for advice and opinion and the agent's expertise, then we need to have an agency agreement so everybody's clear on what that relationship is. Now, being asked to sign that right when you first meet somebody or to see that very first house might seem a little weird because there is a compensation section in there, and a buyer might not be comfortable committing to a relationship with an agent that they've just met and hiring them to find them a house. But it's important to remember that agreement could just be for that one house or for the houses you're seeing on that one day. And then once the buyer and the agent get to know each other a little bit better, if they decide to work together, they can sign a longer term agreement. Regarding the compensation part, buyers have traditionally not expected to pay their agent out of their pocket. Traditionally, the listing firm would share whatever fee they had earned with the firm that represented the buyer. That may not always be the case anymore, and buyers signing this agreement might have a little bit of trepidation about committing to a fee that will run into thousands of dollars. The important thing to remember is there are different ways the buyer can actually get that fee paid. It can be part of their own closing costs, or if they can't afford that, they can ask the seller to make a concession that can be negotiated within the contract that will give them the funds at closing to pay their agent. So the thinking behind that is, from the buyer's perspective, hey, the seller traditionally had paid a higher commission, enough that the listing firm was able to share if another firm sold the house before the listing firm did. So the buyer asking the seller for a little help with their closing costs is not too unusual. So if you're a regular watcher, you know that typically I will try a different coffee, usually a local one, during each episode. Moving forward, we're going to expand that a bit and try foods, pastries, ice creams, lunches from some of our favorite local places here in the Central Shenandoah Valley, and try to give them a little boost and help introduce you all to some of our favorite spots. For our first food choice, we were at Cinnamon Bear, and I tried one of my favorites there, which is the gluten-free spicy chicken and basil wrap. It's absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend it. While I was there, I got to meet Jason, the owner, and learn a little bit more about the Cinnamon Bear. So Jason, for somebody that hasn't visited here before, what are the top few things you'd like them to know about the Cinnamon Bear?
We've been around for quite some time, and we definitely, during the pandemic, have made adjustments to what we used to be and started making our own bagels and doing things in-house a little bit more, and it's helped us to grow as a locals hotspot.
What's something about your menu that would surprise people, even your regulars?
We marinate our own pork, we marinate our own chicken. We've had help from people around the world to help develop those recipes, and we bring it here to Harrisonburg.
Fantastic. Thanks again for letting us stop by today.
All right, thanks very much. Nice talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching today. If you've got a real estate question for me or a local food place that you'd like me to try here on our segment, please send that to me at questions@klinemay.com. See you next time.